Hello my friends, and welcome to day 2 of Book-O-Ween. I am super excited for today's review and I hope you guys are as well. So let's get into it, why don't we? Today we're going to be talking about Murder House by C.V. Hunt. And I have read another book by her before, which I will talk about in a little bit, but this is what it looks like. I absolutely love this cover. I think it is so cute. I love that the author's name and the title of the book are inside the house. I don't know why. I just like that the house is like all consuming of everything. It consumes the name, it consumes the author. It just has everything in there. I like this spiral plume of like smoke coming out, or what I would assume is smoke. And I just think it looks, I don't know, I like it. It's soft matte touch. And then the back has an open door, which I think is very creepy as well. So, yes, I really like the cover. I think it's pretty. You got your typical horror book colors, black and red. So, very typical, but also still really cool and unique. So, let's get into a synopsis and then I will tell you guys my thoughts. Laura's boyfriend Brent is a struggling writer with a new project on his hands. He's writing a true crime novel about the grisly and gruesome murders that took place at the infamous murder house in Detroit. However, not only does Brent have a short time frame to write this book, only 3 months, they also want him to move into the house, which, as we all know, is a terrific idea. Laura and Brent's relationship is also not doing very well. Brent is a dick to Laura and he basically treats her like crap and keeps her around for money and to do things that he doesn't feel like doing. The house is not only decrepit and in a really bad shape, but there's something about it that just feels off. Laura starts noticing weird things within the house and Brent just kind of blows her off and doesn't know what she's talking about and doesn't take her very seriously. But then Brent starts to act a little bit different. Is Laura actually seeing things, or is her mind playing a trick on her? Now that you know a little bit more about the book, let's dive into my thoughts and overall opinions on the book. First off, I was very intrigued by the idea of this book because it reminded me a lot of the Amityville Horror. I don't know why, but I just kept thinking about the Amityville Horror when I was reading it. When I read the back, it just screamed Amityville to me. I don't know, I just kind of felt very connected. I felt like they were similar and I enjoyed that. I also read Halloween Fiend by C.V. Hunt last year for Book-O-Ween and I love that book. It was one of my absolute favorites from Book-O-Ween. I just fell in love with it. So I really couldn't wait to get into this one and see if it made me feel the same way that Halloween Fiend did, because I was just in love with Halloween Fiend, so I was hoping that I would also be in love with this book. As soon as I started the book, and I mean as soon as I started this book, the very first chapter, I knew I was going to hate Brent. I knew I was going to hate him with every fiber of my being, and what do you know? I did. He was the worst character. He was so annoying. He was so mean and nasty to Laura. Every time he spoke to her or just acted a certain way, I could just feel my face squish up and be like, oh, this dude, he got my nerves going. Like, I just hated him so much. His attitude was so bad. The way he spoke to Laura was just so obnoxious. I could not stand Brent. I could not stand Brent. I hated Brent so much. He drove me insane the entire book. I just hated him. I hated him so much. He is horrible. He's horrible. He's a horrible character. Laura is an interesting character. I immediately felt sympathetic towards her because of the treatment that Brent gives her. I immediately just wanted to root for Laura because he was just so nasty and vile and horrible that I was just like, no, I don't like you. I'm Team Laura. Team Laura all the way. She has my full support. I like her. I'm rooting for her. You can go away and stay away and leave Laura alone. That's how my emotions were going. So Laura automatically I felt sympathy for her, and I just automatically liked her. And since Laura is the narrator, you do get a peek inside her mental state and her dealings with depression and just how she's coping and how she's been coping over the years. And she just kind of goes into a good amount of detail about explaining her depression and how she feels and kind of what kind of depression she has and her bouts of depression, and it just made it super relatable for me as someone who does deal with depression. It's just easy to connect with someone who also feels similarly to you. So again, another thing that just made me super like Laura and feel way more connected to her than I did Brent. I couldn't care less about Brent. He was just over here in my mind. I just pushed him away, and Laura was the center of my whole mind while I was reading this book. She was just my main focus and the one that I connected with and the one that I liked. Much more likable than Brent. I don't always love the whole, is the main character actually experiencing things or is it inside their head trope. It can frustrate me, it can irritate me. It's not my favorite. Sometimes it works very well in horror and sometimes it just gets on my last nerve. And it's just because I don't know what it is. I just am not a fan of that trope. For some reason, it just bothers me that sometimes they seem like they're experiencing things and then sometimes they seem like they are having some sort of thing with their mind. I don't know, it just kind of irritates me, and it just depends on how the author goes about it. I can either love it or I can hate it. I can hate it. But I felt like with this story, it was done much differently than I'm used to. It's kind of hard to explain, so I'm going to do my best to explain to you why I feel like it is different than other stories with the same kind of trope. I guess one of the things was it didn't feel like the author was trying to shove it in my face that maybe Laura is hallucinating. Maybe she's not really experiencing things. I feel like sometimes the authors just kind of shove it in front of you and they're like, experience, nope, she might be crazy. Experience, oh no, she's crazy. Like, and I don't love that. I don't like having to guess, and I also don't like when authors make me feel like the main character is crazy for experiencing things like that, even if it's not, you know, real, like really happening. Maybe it's just inside their head. I just don't like that whole are they crazy thing. It just gets on my nerves. But with this story, I felt like it was not really being said, oh, maybe she's not really seeing things. Maybe it's a hallucination. It wasn't really a big exclamation point. It was more just a slight hint, like, oh, maybe this. But it wasn't shoved down your throat, which I think made me like it a lot more than typical books. I also felt like this book was creepy in a very understated way. It's almost like the creepiness was just an undertone. You almost didn't realize that something was supposed to be creepy. It's like I got finished reading a chapter and I'd be like, oh, that was actually pretty creepy. Like, that was weird. That was very odd. Like, why was that happening? But it took me a minute to process. Like, my mind had to kind of mull it over, and then I could realize, oh, hey, that was freaky. Maybe that's not good. Maybe that's a bad thing. Maybe something bad's going to happen now. It was very much an undertone of the story and not in your face or loud. Just like the whole is she hallucinating thing or not, it was very much an undertone, and they were just kind of slightly there under the surface, so you could almost barely notice that it was happening, but then you would notice that it was happening. It also had a tiny bit of gore, which I was not expecting at all. I don't know, sometimes I just don't expect some books to have gore inside of them, but this did have a little bit. It's not a lot, it's not overwhelming, it's not enough to make you want to throw up or enough to make you not be able to finish it or anything like that. It's just a little bit, but it was surprising and I actually really enjoyed it. It was a surprise, but a nice surprise. The only thing that I didn't love about this book is that I felt like there wasn't enough information provided. The ending is very open-ended, it's very ambiguous, it kind of just leaves you guessing, and I don't mind that, but I just wanted a little bit more information. I would have liked more information on the previous murders in 1975. That would have been great. More information. I just felt like it was very open. Everything was just very open and up to interpretation, and I like that, but also a part of me wants more. I wanted more information. I wanted to know more about the house. I wanted to know more about what was happening, just more information to make it fully concrete in my head, because it wasn't that concrete to me and I didn't necessarily love that. I didn't hate it, but it did make me feel like a slight bit sad because I just wanted more. I guess I just wanted more about the history of the house, what exactly was going on. I feel like you don't really know what was happening, which, you know, a lot of people love, and I do sometimes, but here I just needed just a little bit more. I just wanted more background, a little bit more of the history of the house and what was really happening. I think I would have liked that. I think I would have just liked a little bit more information. The ending was surprising. I didn't expect it to happen at all. Didn't see it coming, didn't predict it, had no idea. So it was a big surprise, but I liked it. It was a good ending. Like I said, it's very open-ended and ambiguous. So I think the reader can kind of make up their mind on what they want to think happened in the story, which is sometimes really cool because I'm more on the side of the paranormal stuff in books are usually happening. If I have to pick a side, do I think that this person's hallucinating or do I think this person's actually experiencing things? I usually side with the experiencing things, because if I want to read a book about paranormal things, I want them to actually be experiencing things rather than just hallucinating and it's in their head. So I personally do like an ambiguous ending like that, because then I can choose that they really were experiencing things. But again, you know, it's slightly frustrating because it's not concrete. So if you're one of those people who don't like open-ended things like that, this probably isn't the book for you, because a lot of it is open-ended. But if you do like that kind of stuff, I think this book would be a fun read. Overall, I did enjoy the book. It was a fun, fast read. It's only a little over 100 pages. So again, not a lot. It's fun, it's fast, it's a good, spooky book. I just would have liked a teeny tiny bit more information and history on what exactly was going on. But that's just me, so I'm sure other people feel differently. So I'm going to give this 4 ghosts out of 5. I took 1 ghost off because it did frustrate me that it was a little too open-ended for my liking. But other than that, I did really like the book and it was a lot of fun and it was a great little Halloween read and I felt spooked and creeped out, and that's why I'm doing this. So those are my thoughts on C.V. Hunt's Murder House. Please let me know in the comments down below if you have read this book and what you think about it. Do you agree with me or do you disagree? I would love to know. And yeah, guys, that's going to do it for day 2 of Book-O-Ween. Tomorrow will be another video, so be on the lookout for that. I hope you guys are enjoying the series so far, and I hope you're looking forward to the rest of the week. If you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up. It lets me know what kind of content you enjoy from me. That way I can keep providing you with that kind of content. Feel free to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. We can become friends, talk about books, horror, movies, makeup, all kinds of things. I do a lot on this channel, so hopefully there's something for everyone. And with that being said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you tomorrow for day 3. Bye!